Hello, thanks for joining me. I made this layout of Shelby after I did a Saturday stash dive layout. I was just inspired to continue to dig out some of my stash, older pieces that I've had and use them, and I came across this picture of Shelby. She is 18 now, but she was 14 here, and we were in the Softball World Series in Ohio, and Akron, Ohio, to be exact, in the USSSA, and this was the championship game, and they won it. They won the whole World Series. It was amazing, amazing, amazing. And we went in that day just happy because I can't even tell you how many teams, so many teams. And so this day we go into this championship game. Worst case scenario, we're getting third in the World Series. Hello. But I found some of this old paper, softball paper, and this was like 2007, both of these, or all three of them actually. I got them at a scrapbook store that is no longer open, and those are tiny softballs on the back. So I wasn't digging this paper anymore, but I really wanted to use it because I just didn't want to be wasteful. So you're going to see how I used this up. And I was really quite pleased with the page, even though I didn't dig the paper as much anymore. Back then, you bought what you could because there wasn't a lot of themed sports paper, really. And now I know you don't really need that for your sports pages. You don't need themed paper, but I really liked it at the time because it was new and it was a new novelty. And so I bought some, and I just did not want to waste it. So here we go with some more Saturday Stash Dive, even though this is not formally a Saturday Stash Dive video. So I still want you guys to continue to love your new kits and love your new products, but also embrace the older things you have and use them or donate them or something so somebody will love them. And so anyway, back to this picture. These girls, I can't even tell you how hot it was in Akron in end of July, beginning of August. And my parents came on this trip. And my mother actually had to go into the hospital because she came down with pneumonia. And so she missed this game. But she was in there the whole week we were there. And which was sad, but we saw her and visited her when we could, and so she was so happy the day they won, which was also the day she got to, or we had to wait one more day before she was released, but she was so happy to hear, and all the nurses knew all about Shelby and her team. But these girls, there was a point in this tournament where they had to win 5 games in one day. They had lost one. That put them down in the losers bracket, and they had to win 5 games to get back in the winners bracket. And they did it. And I don't know. It was by the end of that day, these girls were hot, exhausted. Some of them were crying just because the emotions of it all. It was an intense day that day. And so after that, to them, they were like, we already won this tournament. Whether we win it or not, after today, they were all thinking, we pulled together as a team and we made it happen. So even if we don't win this whole thing or we don't get to continue after that day, they didn't care because to them they had won. Well, after that, it just went from there. They just kept winning and it was amazing. And there were some fabulous teams from all over the country, and the talent of these kids. And it's really hard to play sometimes teams from Texas or California or Florida where it's nice and sunny year round, where they can play a lot of ball. In Delaware, obviously we have seasons and snow and rain and such, so they're in a gym and they're not able to play softball games year round. So to go and to be able to compete with these other wonderful teams is really saying something. So kudos to these kiddos. I'm going to use this. I just felt that the softball paper was just a little too much for me. I wanted to add some texture to it and just kind of calm it down some, and I didn't want to gesso it. So I decided to pull out one of my new stencils from the Crafters Workshop, and it's just a bunch of like tiny messy circles. And right now I'm just putting my layers together. I'm not adhering them to the page yet because I know I want to use a stencil, and I use desert sand ink from Close to My Heart, because to me it just replicates dirt. It was just the perfect dirt color. And let's face it, these girls get dirty. This team, Shelby was no longer on this team after, well, she stayed with this team a few more years. You know, I think he carried like 15 girls, because you want to have a few girls extra for injuries and such. But this is a team where there were 6 coaches on this team, and all of their kids played. And all of their kids played infield, and all of their kids played every single game, whether they were messing up or not. Unfortunately, putting your children in sports like this also teaches them a lot of life lessons that sometimes aren't, sometimes it breaks your heart to see your kids go through certain situations, because they're like, man, if that was us, they would have ripped us out already, you know, because so the coaches' kids were all the infielders. Shelby did some pitching, but they hardly used her for pitching. So it was her and like 6, 7 other girls competing for outfield spots. Well, that's only 3 spots, and everybody wants to play. And everybody was good. Everybody on this team was good. This team made Shelby a phenomenal softball player, so I give that to them. But they did a lot of bad things too, that after, you know, Shelby was like, enough. It's not okay to treat me like this. And so like three years later, Shelby left and went to a different team that wasn't as competitive, or they didn't win as much, but she was so much happier. She was just so much happier. But this team made her not even want to play in college. And she's had college scouts come up to her when she was with these other teams, and you know, her bio in the programs had said that she was on, you know, this World Series team and won all these state championships year after year, but they just liked who she was on the field as well, not just a player. Almost every coach that contacted us wanting Shelby didn't just talk about her abilities to play, because when they saw her, she was pitching and playing third base. She was not in the outfield. And they were talking about her leadership. Many times they saw her have to pick her teammates up and, you know, or keep them positive, or just keeping things fun. And if a pitcher was struggling, if Shelby was playing third and there was another pitcher, if she was struggling, Shelby would, you know, make her laugh or keep it light, because Shelby knows what it's like to be the pitcher, and it's a lot of hard work. So anyway, but unfortunately, there's politics in everything, and there's definitely politics in sports, and I don't care how young they are. I don't care how young or how old your kids are. They are going to learn some serious life lessons, and I don't worry about Shelby. She became a very tough cookie, not just physically, but emotionally as well. But this particular picture, she's at home plate, and her last at bat, she had nailed it to the outfield and brought in one of the few runs made in this game. Even though she got out, I believe she got out, but brought a run in. Anyway, she was up again, and she was like, I'm all over it. I'm killing the ball. I could just see the determination on her face, and you'll see it in the close-ups at the end, and you can also look at the pictures in the beginning. First pitch, hit to the ribs. She got hit in the ribs. She was so mad, and I don't know, but she said the girl just kind of looked at her like, oops, you know. So pitchers remember who, you know, we played some really aggressive teams that were hardcore, not very nice. And we played some really awesome teams. Even when they lost, they were gracious and kind and really good sportsmen. But you'd be amazed at the parents. Sometimes the parents are terrible. Terrible. But anyway, we had beat out another Delaware team that they were in it the whole time, and we knocked them out the day before, and they were highly, highly upset. And they were a team that's not very nice. So anyway, that was a great game as well. And that field was horrible to play on. It was so dry and dusty. The least little running or sliding, or the ball hitting or the wind would come up and dirt would fly everywhere, and it was horrible. But the conditions these girls played in this particular week, was just amazing. And so when they won, they just couldn't, with each game, I'm sorry, my windows are open, it's beautiful. When we won that first game, So we're like, gosh, the worst we're going to be is second place, and the girls just got more amped and more amped. And going into that championship game, the team we beat, they were favored. But the look on their faces watching our girls warm up, because our girls came up with a cheer. It went with a song that was popular on the radio, and they kept the tune but changed the words obviously to fit. And they were just psyching each other up so much with this tune, and they did it together as a team, and the other team was just looking at them like, you could already tell in their faces they were scared. And we were nobody to them, but you just know it. When a team is playing together, it doesn't matter. And our team was phenomenal. But like I said, compared to other teams we saw, man, if you want it, you can do it and you can win it. And these girls were so inspiring to me as a person this day, because they wanted it and they want it. So it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. There's this saying, hard work beats out talent when talent doesn't work hard. Something like that. And I've always said that to my kids, and it's the truth. If you want it bad enough, you can beat out someone who's 10 times more talented than you, but you have to believe it and you have to want it. And it doesn't matter if Shelby and these other girls were fighting for outfield positions, whether some of them deserve to be infield or not. They worked as a team, and you're only as good as your players. So even if you're not the main superstar, even if you're an assist person, or they can't do it by themselves. They can't play every position by themselves. They need their team. So you are important no matter where you play. Okay. Wow. That mommy moment. I'm going to stop on that. So if you have kids, just remind them of that every position's important, or else there's no I in team. It takes everybody to win. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and dig out your old stash, and thumbs up if you love your kids and you believe in them, and know that they are going to be fabulous people someday. Or I'm sure they already are fabulous people, but things that they do help build character no matter what the lesson, if it's a hard lesson or a great lesson. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.